The founder and director of MOSTRA Brazilian Film Series. And it is a wonderful opportunity for us to talk with our directors. Tonight, we have a producer of the film Cidade dos Piratas by Otto Guerra. And I would like to say a few words about Marta. Marta Machado is the producer of the film. And she has produced also two other films, two other animation feature films. And she has produced 5 shorts, 2 TV shows, and many institutional and commercial films. So she comes with a background, in a very big background in films and in animations in particular. She's currently a professor of audiovisual production at the Federal University of Santa Catarina, and she earned a doctor's degree in public administration at the Fundação Getúlio Vargas. This is Marta. I also would like to introduce to you our mediator tonight, which is José Ricardo Jacinto. José Ricardo will moderate the chat and the conversation with our producer. And he has a degree in journalism, and he is a degree in journalism from the Universidade de Mogi das Cruzes in São Paulo. And she is a member of our board of directors of Partners of the Americas. And he also this year, he integrated our curatorial committee of MOSTRA XI. So here we are, and I give this to José,
right.
and moderate our discussion.
Thank you, Ariane. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Ariane, for inviting me, especially to participate on this panel, on this movie. Because when I saw, I don't know if you remember when I saw Cidade dos Piratas on the list, and I said, oh my God, it has to be good, without seeing the movie, because I am a big fan of Laerte since when I was on the college, like many years ago. And he's not a conventional guy. I don't know if everybody, all the audience, have a chance to know something about Laerte, but he's awesome. And I thought, oh my God, it has to be good, and I wasn't wrong. The movie, I loved the movie. The movie is fantastic. And Marta, I would like to thank you for participating, and it's such an honor, such an honor. I'm a little bit nervous because I am not a professional of movie. I'm not a critic, and I'm just a big fan of movies. So, everything I have here, everything I'm bringing here is from my heart. It's
that's the best. That's the best.
Please help me. So just tell us a little bit about you, and so.
Okay. Well, first, thank you very much. Thanks, Ariane, for inviting me and inviting the film, because it's not an easy film to be seen and to be shown, especially in these moments we are living, well, in Brazil and, well, in America as well. And I'm very, very happy to have the chance to talk about the film. And well, for people who has seen the movie, it tells a little bit about my story in the studio when I the film tells the story of me leaving the film, the production of the film. It's all true. It's all real. It really happened. So I have a kind of odd relationship with this film because it was my last production at Auto Desenhos. And it really marks this moment that we had this great partnership. And I decided that I really didn't want to produce animation anymore. I was really tired because I had produced some films and this one was really difficult. And I decided that I really wanted to change my life because I really wanted quality in life. So the thing that you see in the film, I mean, my part in the film is really what happened. And well, not really what happened, because Otto made it really worse. I was like a really tough producer and I was not really like that, but he painted me like that in the film. But so it's really kind of odd to be talking about the film. At the same time, it's really good to be able to sort of show my defense, you know, because it's not easy to produce animation for adults in Brazil. Well, it's not easy to produce this kind of animation anywhere in the world, but in Brazil, it's really hard producing anything. But so I'm happy to be here, to be able to talk and to discuss the film. The film is really complex, and I myself, sometimes there are some parts that I don't get myself, so maybe I won't be able to explain everything that you will want to know about. But I'm also a big fan of Laerte. Laerte has such a brilliant work as a cartoonist. He has done brilliant things, and he's also a great character in life, because his life has become some sort of you know, a big flag for people who you know, who want to be whatever they want. So he became a very important you know, force or strength for people who want to assume what they are. And I think this is the most important character that he has created in life, that is himself. So I'm also a big fan of Laerte, and I'm happy to talk about him and his work, because he was very important in the making of the film too, and he was really a great partner all the time. So it's also some sort of you know, homage to him when we talk about the film. So Ben, you can ask questions now.
You kind of answered part of my question, so that's true. So you quit.
Yes, I did.
And
I did.
what part of the process was, because we saw in the movie it took too long to make that movie.
Yeah.
How long did it take? Because Otto said something about 15 years. It's more, right?
Yeah, the point is that we used to start a film before finishing the other films. So we start thinking about the script and start financing the film and doing all this pre-production things, or developing things in the middle of other productions. So we start thinking about Cidade dos Piratas when we were actually making Woodstock, which was we made Woodstock, and then we made Até que a Esbórnia nos separe, and then we made A Cidade dos Piratas. But we really started thinking about A Cidade dos Piratas when we were still making Woodstock. And because there was this sort of a short film script that was a little part of the film, and we took that and started developing further. So it started really a long time ago, but it doesn't mean that we worked on the film for the 15 years. No, we did parts of it, especially because the script and the financing takes a long time, and it's not really usually the script starts with a script writer that is not in the studio. So it's really something that you can start doing apart. So there's no problem in working on the script and the financing while you are developing other films in the studio. Yeah, because the big part of animation, I mean, the really hard work of animation, starts when you have the script developed and you have the storyboard developed, and then you start to animate. And this part, the animation part, is a process that you have to start and go through it till the end, because it takes a lot of people working on this part. So that's what really happens in the studio, right? But the developing part, the pre-production part, is not really something that takes everybody involved. So that's why usually when Otto talks about the time we spent making the film, he usually gives 10 years, 20 years, things like this. And every time that he talks about that, he puts some more years. I think it's amazing.
Well, right now he is, because he's a member of the Academy of
the Academy. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure he's still a member because he has to pay for that. And he said, I'm not going to pay for that. It's a lot of money and everything. And he was okay, so you're not in the Academy anymore, but don't tell anybody. It's like this.
And I have so you quit, you left the Auto Desenhos. So you did not come back. I told you, because in the movie, it looks like, she come back to finalize the movie. So you did not.
No. Actually, I started the production. Well, I put all the financing together. That's a very hard part of it. But
everything on track?
Yes, everything was, we got the money, so everything was financed. And we had a version of the script that people were able to start animating, but Otto was not happy with that script, and Laerte was not happy with that script. So they had a lot of different versions of the script after I left. But I left, when I left, they had started animating, but it was really a short part yet. So what I did was I did most of the financing part, which is very hard to get. And when the money was there, I was like, okay, now you can go on without me. So I left at that point, right? But I am still very connected to the studio. I'm a consultant, so I help with projects, but I don't get involved in the production anymore. And that's the big difference, because before quitting, I was there every day, and I was really, I'm kind of workaholic, so I was working very hard, and I was really tired when I left. So we had done like 3 films. Well, the third film was financed but was not ready. But we had done 2 films before Cidade dos Piratas. Especially Woodstock was done with very low money, so it was very difficult to make those films. And Até que a Esbórnia nos separe, we had more money, but the quality of the animation was much higher than Woodstock. So we really suffered to finish that film because we set the quality too high and we didn't have a huge structure. So we had to really work hard to make that happen. And it's really tiring because you never know exactly when you're going to finish and if you're going to finish. Sometimes
you're right.
Yeah, sometimes the money that you have just cease for some time, and then you have to go look for some more. And anyway, it was tough, but we survived.
And you said you had to, so they had to change the scripts a lot. And
Yes.
how much? Because so in the last decade, so we had that changing of Laerte, so that old transgender thing. How did it impact the script? Because I assume that, well, Laerte said on the movie, so he would like to kill the Piratas. And so he tossed it. So the stories on the trash, in the trash. I assume, like I said, the kind of humor, I don't know if I can say like his sense of humor probably has changed. So how did it impact on the changings, on the script changes? Did it impact a lot?
It did, because in the beginning, the film was about the pirates, and that's something that we discuss in the picture as well, about the name of the film. But it's much more than the name, because the first script were completely based on the strips and the comic strips. And there was once we had a meeting. We went to São Paulo, me and Otto, to meet Laerte. We went to his house, and we had this version, I don't know, the first or the second version of the script. And we were there. We went there because we asked him to draw the storyboard, and he was starting to work on that. And we went there, and Otto was not happy about the script. But I told Otto, don't tell him that you are not happy, because we have to have a script to go on, and we need his storyboard, and if we have his drawings, it will be great, so please don't tell that. And then we went there, and the first thing that Otto tells him when he gets there is that I'm not happy with this script. And I was like, oh, I can't believe. And he went the same way, Laerte. He said something like, oh, I'm not happy either, so let's change that. And I was like, oh, no, please. To step 0, right? And but they were not happy. So, and at that point, Laerte was not changing yet, because there was something that happened in Laerte's life that was really a milestone for him, because one of his sons died in a car crash, and that happened in the middle of the development of A Cidade dos Piratas. So when we started the project, Laerte was one way, and there was this accident with his son, and that was something that really made him turn around. And then after that, he started changing his way of dressing, and his cartoons changed a lot too. He went into this more existentialist style, you know, that is what he does nowadays. And the film, the final version of the film, the one that you have watched, has a lot to do with this new style, right? And in the film there is this sort of dichotomy. I don't know if there's this word in English, but you know, this relationship of these two different sides, because the pirates are still there, and there is this new version of Laerte and his all the Minotauro stories is from this other moment of his life, and also his confusion, his own confusion is there too. So I think the film was very happy in the sense of putting all this confusion in the picture. And also there is the confusion of the director as well, because there is the confusion of doing a film like that. There is this confusion of his own life, because when I decided to quit the studio, Otto discovered that he had a cancer. And I almost didn't quit because of that. I was really worried about him. He's a very good friend of mine. And I was moving from Porto Alegre to Florianopolis, which is 500 kilometers away. And I was like, no, I can't leave. How can I go and leave him like that? And at that point, I had a very good friend that is a film critic. He used to write in some important papers in Brazil. And one day I called him and I was really worried about Otto. And I was like, look, I can't go to Florianopolis because I'm very worried about him. What's going to happen? What's going to happen with the studio? And he said something like, you should go. You have to go. You must go. And Otto's going to be fine. And he's going to do the best film he has ever done. And I don't know if it's the best film, Otto's best film, but for sure it's the most Otto's film, you know, in the sense that it really shows a lot about Otto. And this is something that the other films don't do. They are stories that were created by other people and they were directed and produced by Otto, but they are not really telling his story or his view of life. And the whole confusion in A Cidade dos Piratas has a lot to do with what Otto is. He's a confused person. So it makes sense.
I'm sorry. I watched an interview. So I was like preparing myself, doing my research, and I watched an interview that he did with a guy in Porto Alegre. I think it's Papo de Cinema. It was on YouTube. And I liked him. I loved him, but he's confused. But this makes, how can I say? Maybe I liked him because that. Well, so let's start talking about the movie. And
You know, I just interject a little bit because it was an extremely difficult movie for me to understand.
Yes.
I saw it once, then I said, I have to read more about it. So I started reading a little bit so that I would understand what the story was all about. And then I saw it again, and we discussed in our curatorial committee a lot about it. Then I started understanding it more. And then one of the, I remember that one of the, I think interviews that was done with Otto, somebody asked him if it would be difficult for foreigners to, to understand this movie. And he said, and I have it here, he said, yes, I think it is already a difficult film for Brazilians to understand. So it's much more complex for someone from outside to figure out Laerte's humor. And it is that thing that you laugh, but you are also mad, suffering. It's a crazy laugh. However, I think that everyone can get this story, can understand the core of Ivan, the mayor, Laerte, or my own character on this story. this is not out of this world. And I thought this was very, very interesting because it is true. You know, you get bits and pieces here and there on the movie. And then you say, oh my gosh, I don't know if I understand it. That's how I saw it for the first time. And, but the more I saw it, the more I like it. You know, you get different things on the movie. So I think even for our the audience, I would like to say, you know, if you didn't understand, see it again. And it's even nice if you see after, if you are seeing our discussion, because then you are more in tune with things that you have to look for. I think it is incredible movie, actually.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense, this what you're saying about seeing it more than once, because I think it has a lot of different, you know, like narratives going at the same time. So sometimes you might understand something from one, and then you just miss the other part, and then you go back and then you understand a little bit more of the other part. So I myself had to watch it sometimes too, but I still don't get everything, and I think that even Otto doesn't get everything. So, and this is his aim, I think. The more confused you get, the better. You know?
We have a question right here, actually from my daughter, from Gabriela. How would you explain it? It's related to what we were talking about. How would you explain the message of this film to a foreigner who doesn't necessarily have the background about each character? Because I would like to complement. Because for me, like I said on the beginning, I am familiar with the characters. When the movie starts, well, after the first 5 minutes about the Indians, the pirates, so it took like 5 minutes for the first dialogue. But when we saw Fernando Pessoa on like sailing on the Rio Tietê and the Piratas, so I knew that. So it came from the strips. Each character came from the strips. So the Minotaur, Muriel, Overman. So for me, it was easier. But like Gabriela said, if you don't have the background on each character, even for Brazilians, right? It's difficult. You have anything to complement?
Yeah. Laerte's work is not really popular in Brazil. I mean, he was never a very popular author. Even when with his most known characters, he's not really that, you know, popular, I think. But the point is, I think that the main thing in when the film started, when we had this first version of the script, we were really interested in showing São Paulo. Well, the first story was about the fact that the place where São Paulo is was originally a rented field to the Bandeirantes, and but the point is that after 500 years, this field would go back to the owners, and the owners were the Piratas, because they sort of rented the place for and then the city, São Paulo, as it is nowadays, would go back to the hands of the pirates, and they would rule the city. But they are like completely chaotic people. So the whole story was about this, you know, this big city going back to the hands of people who have no way to to manage anything. It was originally about confusion, right? And I think that it's still in the film nowadays. I think it has a lot to do, the whole message of the film has a lot to do with the confusion of the people, like the inner confusion that you have in yourself. Because, for example, when you have Laerte in the film, he's talking about, sometimes he's talking about his past as a man and his feelings of like not being very comfortable in this position, right? And his changing life has to do with that. And the characters, like the Piratas, they are originally they were like people who would go to make confusion about things. The strips that he used to write and to draw, they were all about confusion, about about turning things upside down, right? I think this is like the main theme behind all the work of Laerte, like putting things upside down, turning things around so that you can see them in a very different way. He has done that with his life, but he has done that with his work all the time, even for characters that nowadays he don't believe anymore. He doesn't believe anymore, like the Piratas. Yes, and he has like he says that they are too sexist, and it doesn't make any sense anymore. But I think that the main thing that is trying to make us do all the time is look around, look inside and see how things can be different if you look the other way around. And I think the film does that, right? In all the stories that it tells, it talks about turning things around. The story that Otto tells about himself is like going from this point where life is everything to a place where, well, there's death, right? When you get cancer, you start thinking about, wow, life is not forever. And this is going to another place and seeing things in a very different perspective. So I think that everything that is put there is just to make people think from a different place. And when you leave the film with this, sensation that you didn't get it, right? That's fantastic, because you are expected to go to a film, understand everything, and leave happy because, oh, I got it. This is the comfortable place to be when you leave a picture. And if you leave a picture feeling, I'm not sure I understood the story, I'm not sure I got everything, you are in a very different place, right? And that's the point. Put people in different places to just see and feel the taste of being there, right? And I think it does. I mean, I think the film gets you there, and that's fantastic, I think.
Well, you're going to start making questions and maybe not find the answer, but
sorry.
I'm sorry, Ariane.
No.
I took a note. I think it's related to what you said, Marta, but the poet, Fernando Pessoa, said something in the movie. What is that? It's Fernando Pessoa, right here. That the things don't have like a meaning. They have existence. I don't know if this is related. When I heard that, oh my God, this is beautiful. And maybe it makes sense for this movie.
Yeah, sure. And the fact that this is Otto's idea he insisted a lot on Fernando Pessoa in the film. And I think that Fernando Pessoa is the poet that turns himself around all the time. When you are reading his things, you just get this, wow.
He shows it on the movie.
Yes, he goes pretty well in that place. I mean, and I think it is related. I think that everything that is put there and there's also this, well, all the political part of the film, you know, the mayor and his relationship with the city and with the people. And it has a lot to do with something that in Brazil is really strong at the moment, but I think that Americans can relate easily because they have just had the fascist in power. And this is something that we are living at the moment, right? And this is a situation that we never ever thought that we would live, you know, again. It was like so impossible to project a moment in you know, in the future where we would have this extreme right president with this militarian way of thinking, and we never thought that we would go so many steps back, you know. And again, this is, we are in a place again that we never expected to be. So again, it's like we are putting ourselves in places that we were not expected to be. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable to be in Brazil right now. And, you know, like in a situation that many people are dying and the president just doesn't care about that. It's so unbelievable, right? And in a sense, I think that the film is so chaotic and so strange and so unexpected as the moments we are living, right? So it makes a lot of sense. It's like I don't know, like it's symbolic. I mean, it's like a metaphor of the moments we are living. Yeah.
Totally out of control, I think.
Completely, yeah.
You mentioned that character, Azevedo, the politician.
Mm-hmm.
How we couldn't even, because this character, he existed. I think that character exists maybe 10, 15 years. So it's not a new character. So
Mm-hmm.
his hate, his fear about the gay culture, the gay thing, and oh my God, he's afraid to be a gay, to become a gay. I don't know. And so, but he was already there. And now it seems that you guys did that to portray that moment, this moment in Brazil right now. No, it's not. We couldn't even imagine that in 2019, 2020, we would be on this position with a president that says unbelievable things, and he acts like a crazy guy. And but what I think, what is crazy, when we see Azevedo, we think we are watching Bolsonaro.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys finished the movie before his election. And
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy because the movie is totally up to date. Totally
Yeah.
up to date.
Yeah. You know that when we showed the film in Gramado, Festival de Gramado, there were lots of Bolsonaro voters in the audience.
Oh my.
And yes, because Festival de Gramado is an event that has a lot to do with the people who are, you know, the high class of Gramado. And they were all there. And when they started seeing the film, they were really upset.
We are not talking about your guy, man. We are not talking about your guy.
Yes, almost impossible to prove that to them. But the point is that the fact is that this character and these people that support this character, that support this guy, that support Bolsonaro, they have always been there. I mean, like, look at the States. You have the rednecks everywhere in the States, right? The Trump supporters, they are there. They exist, you know, and they have existed for a long time. The the really, the amazing thing, I think, is that they got into power, but these people exist. I think it's important that at this point in time in history, we sort of realize that these people exist and that we really have to take care of them and make them calm and don't give them that much power, because really bad things happen. But the point is that we all the time talking about this this polarized thing, but it is here all the time. And the point is that we didn't cared about that much, because I'm a person more connected to the social things, to the left things. And once you are living with the people that think the way you think, you think that everybody thinks like that, but it's not true. And in Brazil, we were like in power for some time, but these people were in power before and they got back, and they exist and they are strong. And I think that they have taught us that we have to act politically so that we are strong. And I think that what's happening in the States nowadays shows us that, okay, they have got to the power, but they got power, but then we can fight back and we can recover the more social concern, because the government has to think about the people. And I think that it's important that we get aware of the existence of this force. And I think the film shows that, and it's kind of scary when you see that on the screen and you go like, oh my God, this exists, it's true. And oh, it's happening outside the cinema, like it's happening in real life. So get real. I mean, it happens. These people happen. These people exist. Like for example, the gun things. There are people who believe that they can, have a gun and to protect themselves, that they have to protect themselves. It's going really back in time, because we gave the government the power for killing people. Like they have this power. We gave them this power because we thought that the government would be able to handle this, right? And now people are getting this back because they don't believe that the government can handle that. So, I mean, there are lots of things being discussed, and I think that the film brings that, bring those discussions into the screen, and we have like to face that and not just go like, oh, it's not happening. Yeah, it is happening, and it's really hurting us, right?
You brought something interesting. The movie shows that for those who can see that. But how do you feel? So there is a very important messages, because we have like 5 or 4 different stories in the movie. But how do you feel when you spend a lot of time creating that, okay, this is going to be my message, and there are some people that don't get it and don't care, because you might not, okay, I didn't get, I don't understand that movie, it's chaotic, it's hard to watch, but you're going to start thinking. But how do you feel about people, they just, okay, they left the movie theaters and they just don't care, it didn't mean anything? How do you feel about that?
Well, I myself care about that, but I admire the way that Otto deals with that. For him, it's more about making the stories that he believes than really impressing, not impressing, but getting this message across, right? In this sense, I think he's a real artist because he's connected to what he's trying to express, right? To his expression. And if people don't get that, well, this is, he thinks that this is their problem, not mine, right? I'm not an artist. I'm really concerned about the audience. I'm concerned about making films that not many people see. This is something that I really care about because I think that you have to make things. If you are spending a lot of money, public money, doing films, you should get the more people to see that you can. But sometimes it doesn't depend on you. I mean, understanding the message is something that doesn't depend on you at all, right? Like you are not controlling other people's mind or understanding. But if the person went there and watched it, it's for sure a chance to get touched, right? Even if it's just a little bit, even if it's just getting shocked with the image, for example, of Azevedo stepping on people. Well, that's really powerful, right? Because it's, yeah. And maybe you are gonna see that, you're gonna get shocked, but something has gone inside you about that, right? And I think that I'm more, you know, like direct. I want things to happen, you know, quickly, but some things change very slowly. The way that people think, the way that, for example, the way that people connect to Brazilian cinema, the Brazilians, I mean, the way that Brazilians connect to Brazilian cinema is something that for people who makes films, it's really difficult to deal with that. But I think this is something that is changing, and it's gonna change in the long run. It will take some time for Brazilians to get to enjoy truly the films that Brazilians make. But sometimes I see films, I see some Brazilian films, and I go like, oh my God, look at this film, look at this, the beauty of the film, look at the beauty of this story. Yeah. And nobody's saying the film. But look, I think that in some years, people will look at these films, we will watch these films, and we will really relate to those stories, because this is about us, right? That has a lot to do with our culture, our values, and there are so many different things being made at the moment. So there's a variety of styles and stories, and we don't realize the little differences, but there is, you know, it's very rich. It's a very rich cinematography. But we are very, I mean, Brazilians in general are very connected to television content, and the television content is made in a very standardized way. So it's like you get that style of production, that style of content, and we are used to sort of consuming that. And to change it takes some time, and you have to be exposed to these different contents, right? And I think that we live in a moment that we are the ones responsible for exposing people to this content and not getting the return. I mean, it's like it will take some time for them to get to enjoy it, to feel it in the proper way. But we are doing our part. I mean, we are exposing them. Yeah. So it's like, I really admire people who are like showing Brazilian films in other contexts, like the one in, I mean, putting up a festival, a Brazilian film festival in Chicago is such, you know, such, it demands a lot of effort and a lot of, you know, coragem.
Oh, yes, yes, yeah. I was thinking about
Yeah,
that. Ariane.
because you are showing something that most people don't want to see, but then they go and see and they watch once and they watch, you know, the next year, and you have like this, you know, this routine of always being there and showing and exposing people to that. There will be a time when they will really want that, right? I believe that.
And you know, oh, sorry, Ariane, go ahead.
Okay, you would mediate. I just wanted to, something that I read that Otto also said on another interview is that, and this is for people who are listening to this talk and also who see the movie and don't understand, because I think they should go back and see it again. He said, I say to the people who ask me, this film is not a film to be understood. It is a film to be felt. I thought that was very good because I felt so many things when I saw it for the first time that I didn't understand at all. And seeing it the second time, then he said, you can feel things watching this movie and not understand it. I didn't make this film so that it would be a story that has a beginning, a middle, and the end. A friend of mine who commented, Otto, your film is great because it has the genius of Bacurau. It's another film that I think we all have heard and seen maybe, but it does not have the triumphalist ending, which is something that bothers me. That's his friend telling him. That, and then Otto goes, that is the formula which in the end, the viewer must leave the cinema, feeling that the good overcomes the evil. And to me, that was an opening. It was a real mind opening because if you really think about all that is going on there and so many bad things happening, you know, so many bad things happening right now in our world, you know. But in the end, I thought this was very profound what he said, because he said, in the end, the good over you get the feeling that the good overcomes the bad or the evil. And I thought that was wonderful. I really, it opened my mind to say, oh, I missed something. I want to go see it again. So
I love your impressions, Ariane, because I really like that, because I think that many people might relate to what you're saying, like, you know, yeah, it makes sense, makes a lot of sense, and you say it in a very sensible way, so it's really nice.
yeah, it was him. I had to read a lot. I went to, that's why, you know, when we were looking, first we watched it on our curatorial committee to go and then discuss it amongst us. And it was very interesting because I saw it and I said, my goodness, do I really want this film on my festival? Because it's so complicated. I don't think that people are going to understand. So I had to go and research a little bit more and read what was the purpose. And then when I saw it the second time, I understand much more, even though I didn't understand it completely, you know, the second time. But it is a very profound movie if you know, if you pay attention to it.
Oh,
And
it is. I totally agree. It's not only because you are here, Marta, but what Ariane said. So, and reproducing what Otto said.
yeah, what was it?
Sometimes you don't need to understand; you need to just feel.
Feel.
And
Yeah.
but that movie says a lot.
Yeah.
That movie, I think, it has the power to change your life. If you are like going through like maybe an existence thing on your life, it can change your life. Like sometimes music, a song can change your life, a book.
Yes.
Like what I'm sad about, I'm going to insist that, okay, maybe I'm being very cruel, but some people, they just don't get it, and they just criticize, like specific about Brazilian movies. When you start, oh my, you said, oh, there's a Brazilian festival. Brazilian movies, they only say like bad words, palavrão. They only say that. This is great. They can show that. But feel the movie, watch the movie with open mind, with an open heart. And I that's it.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but this is what I was telling before. I think that our role at this moment is just to expose these people, right? Expose these people to these different views and to this different kind of films, right? This different way of making films. This is our role. This is what we came here for. I mean, I think that they're going to change. They're going to open, but it will take time, right? And I'm a optimist. I think that they will change in the long run, and but this is part of the process. I mean, we have to go through it. We have to go through this making films to be criticized. I mean, we have to make films that people won't like, because this is part of a process, you know. And if we don't do that, if we don't expose them, if we just accept what they are saying, and the fact that they don't relate to this one and they want the ones that they relate easily, if we go for that, we won't change anything, right? So I think we have to like accept our, you know, our fate at this moment, right? Yeah, because they have to change. I mean, they won't change if we don't do that. I mean, and about this sort of expecting the films to have this happy ending and to leave the movie theater with this feeling that everything is settled, right? This is what most blockbusters do, right? This is what most commercial films do, and this is not the motivation for making independent films. If we make independent films, we have to make things that are going in a different way. Yeah. So in this sense, I think that we are in the right place. Yeah. That's something that.
Thanks to people like you guys.
Yeah, not me anymore, because I gave up.
Okay.
What you say is very interesting because it's so true. We are living at this time and age on a chaotic world, but there are so many people that want to be on their bubble and not see it, and close their minds and everything. And if the world will change or not change, they protect themselves by being inside a bubble. And I think that we need to take a very good look at where we are living and what times we are living in order to produce the changes that will come, no matter what, if we like it or not. And to me, it is very important. But I want to understand it, so that's why I watched it 3 times. But
you are making the effort. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
It works.
But I think that about these people who are in the bubbles, I think that there is this function of putting a doubt in their minds, you know, like you know, like just making them ask themselves if you know, things were different. But is this the thing that I believe is just really the truth, right? and if they get a doubt, for me that's enough, because that's a starting point. I mean, starting to ask questions that if the message that you received through your WhatsApp, could it be fake? Just asking this question is already a lot. Yes, right?
The beginning, right?
Yes.
I think we still have a little bit of time.
Alex is asking us to ask that last question.
Yeah, okay. Last question. So you have your own producer company, right?
Nowadays I don't. I used to have one. I used to have a distribution company as well. But when I started teaching at the university in Brazil, when you teach at the public universities, you have like a contract that you like dedicate yourself to teaching. So you are not supposed to produce. Actually, you can do some extra things, but it's the hours that you are allowed to do that are not enough to produce films. So the most I can do is consulting, is helping other people to produce, to ask, clear doubts and help them go through it, but not producing anymore. So I'm not producing nowadays. Now I teach people to produce.
And how is the scenario of animation in Brazil right now? Is it good?
It's great, actually. We have been going, well, nowadays, it's kind of doubt what's going to be happening in the future, but we have a lot of animation, Brazilian animation being shown in television. And the big thing is that people do relate to this animation, to things that are produced by Brazilians in Brazilian studios. We have great shows. Children relate to them, adults relate to them. So this is something that happened in the last 10 years in Brazil. And we have an association in Brazil that's called the ABCA. It's the Brazilian Association of Animation. And we did a great job because we really sort of built this thing, this connection to the television with a lot of help, financing help from the government. But we sort of created the scenario for something that was a connection of producers and TV channels. And it's really flowing, right? People are producing content and they are getting audience. So this happened in television and not in cinemas, because the problem is that the animation production that we have nowadays, the commercial, the big studios production that come from the States, they have huge budgets, right? This is something that we cannot get in Brazil. And to have the best technicians in the world and to have the best equipment, you really have to have money. And the cinema has become something that you really have. It's an industry that you really have to have a lot of money to be able to make those big films. In animation, it's not really easy to make low budget films unless you really develop some sort of distinct language or something like that makes the film happen by itself, right? But the standard that people are used to consuming animation for cinemas is the things that come from the big studios, the American studios. So it's difficult to put a production, to make something like that in other countries. We have this independent animation going on in different places, and France, in Brazil, in China, in England, but it's never the same, say, the same technology that the Americans got, because it is connected to the money. That's the big difference, right? They make very expensive films. They set the standard, and now we have like the little gaps in between to fill with this independent production, right? And it's really difficult because when you get the big studios, you get the whole exhibition circuit ready for them, because they want to make money. Yes, they want to make money. There is this whole investment in publicity, so it's difficult to have to face this reality to put your films in the circuit. So it's hard. But in Brazil nowadays, we have this really important thing happening in the connection of independent producers and the television, which is great. It's really fantastic.
So we just got the last question we got from Tatiana de Lima Machado. Tatiana de Lima Machado Griffin. It's a little long, but I'm gonna read it.
Right. Okay.
What is the idea to share part of life? Once before I finish, so you can see the question right here, right, Marta?
I'm not now. I can see now, but it was before, but now I can see it.
All right. Was the idea to share parts of Laerte's interviews in real life in the original script? Those were very impactful to learn about the tactless questions he needed to hear and respond. That was a very good one. I also felt very confused, but agree completely that many of the scenes evoke feelings that don't necessarily need an explanation, but really are deeply felt. That's what we're talking about. Fantastic production and excellent choice of movie for this Mostra. Thank you.
Great. Great comment. Great. Thank you, Tatiana. Tatiana Machado, she's my cousin.
She had to respond a lot of tactless questions. I assume that was not easy. So it was part of the idea to include that on the original script, right?
It's difficult to say what is the original script of A Cidade dos Piratas, right? But these things, they decided to put it in the final versions of the film, and I think I agree with her that it was really a good choice, especially the bits and pieces of the stupid questions that people keep asking Laerte, and the way that he looks, because there were lots of scenes, and they made some choices for the edition of the interviews, which I think is just fantastic, because sometimes people think that, interviewers, journalists, I'm a journalist myself, I have a degree in journalism as well, but sometimes people think that all these people, they know things, they are, they care about the people they are interviewing, but it's not. Yeah, they are just like ordinary people doing the most stupid questions. And I like when they show that in the film, and I think the way that she mentioned it is great. I mean, yeah, and I also think that it's a very brave decision to show this film in Mostra, because it's as Ariane said, it's not an easy film to be understood and to be, you really have to make the effort. And I think that it's great when people understand like bits and pieces, and when people get this idea that this that you get the feelings, right? And the feelings in this case are more important than the rational understanding of the whole thing, right? Yeah, I love the way that she said that, and the way that Ariane said that too. I like it.
All right. I think that's it.
Well,
Yeah.
I would like to just thank you so much, Marta, for being with us. This has been a privilege, and it is wonderful to be able to discuss and know what is behind, the minds of the director, the producer, or all the others involved in making a production like this, because it's a very difficult one. And I want to thank José, because it was wonderful to have you with us and being able to moderate the things and guide the discussions. Thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
also want to thank our sponsors. I don't want to forget to thank our sponsors, because we cannot do anything. It's like we don't care about money, but
Yes.
need it. And that's the very important thing. And so we are very thankful for the Department of Cultural Affairs here in Chicago, and the partners of the Americas in Washington, and many other donors. You can see them on our website listed and everything. And I do want to thank again and again to my very young virtual team, who has helped me to be able to launch this. And most of all, thank you to both of you, because we wouldn't have this session if it wasn't for you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
one thing I would like to say that I don't want to forget. We do, in order to be able to produce a festival like this, we do have a silent auction going on our website. And so if some of you feel inclined, go and take a look, see if you find something you like. That will help us too. Thank you so much. And thank you to all the donors of the silent auction. Thank you so much.
Thank
And
you.
we'll
Bye.
see you tomorrow for another one. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ariane, for putting together a festival. And as I said before, you have to really be brave to do that. And it's not the first one, it's not the second one. And this year is the one online, which is another big challenge for everybody. We are facing a moment that is not easy for anyone, but I do thank you for doing everything that you can, making the effort to show the films. We are very happy to show a Cidade dos Piratas there, and having the chance to discuss with people, with the audience, and people who have watched it and liked it, and the ones that don't like to, we love to talk to them. But I also thank you very much, José, for the questions and the happiness to be talking about the film that we can see when you ask the questions. And yes, I also like I'd like to thank Alex and Sarah for helping us and doing all this behind the scene thing. And well, long life for Brazilian Film Festival in Chicago. And that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.